All right, so there's this cool resource that I'm going to talk about a little bit. I really like it just because it can kind of show you what the structure of an atom looks like. You have these little boxes, these little bowls that you can add different elements of an atom into. So you add on protons, and it kind of shows you where on the periodic table that atom now lies. This is a hydrogen atom. You add more protons. It's a helium atom. It goes further up periodic table. One thing I don't like is that it only goes up to neon. Use all of the protons in the bucket. Get up to neon. Thing that's interesting, another negative of it is the neutrons. It doesn't really tell you what the neutrons do. It just shows that they are present in the atom. So let's get back down. Let's throw that somewhere. So you get all the way back down to hydrogen. It's also interesting that it kind of lets you do a cloud of electrons or orbitals, which we'll talk about orbitals later. So orbitals, it's also, you can note up here that it's a plus one ion. So that means that since there's no electron to balance out the one proton, because a proton has a positive charge, electron has a one negative charge. So right now, since there's one proton and no electron to balance it out, it's a plus one ion. The more you add in, as you might have seen, it doesn't really tell you what the, here, I think it, yeah, here it tells you it's a plus two right now. So plus three. If you have something, you have a hydrogen atom and add in too many electrons, so it'll have a negative one. That's just electrons, negative one charge, protons, positive one charge. Then you can go into the cloud model. With the electrons, you add them in and it makes the cloud bigger, which is true as the more electrons that you add in, the like cloud of electrons that I kind of mentioned in topic one will get bigger and bigger, which makes sense as you add things expand in mass. Mass number, as discussed before, is the number of protons. So for this one is hydrogen's mass number is 1. This has 2 protons. Atom with 2 protons is helium, mass number of 2. Stable or unstable, that's an interesting one. So you get down to a neutral atom. There we go. So it shows it as stable based on the neutrons that are present in there, which I didn't really address neutrons very much, but they do stabilize an atom if there's equal amounts of them. See, if you get in too many neutrons, they usually, let's see how many it'll, yeah, so you usually kind of want to balance it out with the protons, and it does display that here, which I noticed before. Interesting, I'll let you. Yeah, so kind of shows you the orbital theory, which what we said before when we were naming things, okay, stop being unstable. When we were naming things, or when we were talking about the electron cloud, we were talking about ways to display what it is if it's an s orbital. So like this would be an example of an s1 orbital, and then this would be the s2 orbital. I don't know if it actually displays that correctly here. I think it's displaying it as a p orbital. Okay, so it's not totally explaining it, but this is the innermost, the most basic level, which I guess is why it only goes up to neon. So the innermost level of the electrons, so this one is basically, it has a helium inner shell, so it has 2 electrons in here, as a stable helium atom would have. And then as you get further out, which it doesn't totally address the atomic structure as you get further out, but I'll address this in another video in just a second. So